Hello, everyone. I am Maria Fernanda Gebara. I'm truly sorry I can't be with you in person, but I'm very grateful for the opportunity to share my presentation. And today I would like to offer some reflections on biocultural conservation based on insights from an Indigenous gathering I helped to organize last year in the Brazilian Amazon. And this gathering was envisioned by Letícia Yawanawa, an Indigenous leader from the Yawanawa people. So when the pandemic began, Indigenous peoples across the Amazon suffered greatly. Many elders were lost, raising serious concerns about the potential disappearance of invaluable ancestral knowledge. With little to no support from public health systems, these communities had to rely on their own sources and on each other. So they turned to their traditional medicines, supported one another, and exchanged medicinal knowledge among themselves, sometimes even mailing medicines to each other across great distances. And it was in this context that the ancestral knowledge sharing meeting was envisioned. And I'm not going to talk a lot about the meeting, as I'll show a video about it in the end, at the end. So the video will speak for itself, but it was intercultural gathering with the overarching goal of bolstering Indigenous ancestral medicinal practices and safeguarding their unique cultural heritage. But the context to me goes beyond COVID, because I believe we have been sick way before COVID-19, considering the many overlapping crises we are living through. And I think the gathering in this ancestral knowledge is really key in moving forward towards the future and other crises that we are going to need to face. And Indigenous peoples, especially women, are the guardians of ancestral medicinal knowledge. Yet their crucial role remains largely unrecognized, with serious cultural and health consequences. These medicines are not only vital for community well-being, but are key to preserving Indigenous heritage. Sharing knowledge across Indigenous groups in this sense sustains these practices and strengthens their age-old traditions. But what is medicine? And medicine in the Indigenous context is something that goes far beyond the substance. It is anything that comes from the earth. We can be medicine to each other, for example. And it involves different elements like portrayed in this art by Indigenous artist Lisa Boivin. And it is also about chanting, praying, dancing, dieting. So there are many things that they see as a medicine. And to become a pajé, the Portuguese for shaman, in Amazonian cultures, one typically undergoes a long period of dieting, often a year or more, involving isolation, strict food restriction, ongoing use of master's plants until they encounter what they call the healing spirits. And in this path, may also depend on lineage, vocation, surrender, and dedication. According to Freitas, the shaman mediates between worlds, decoding medicinal knowledge and interpreting experiences. And Viveiros de Castro describes the shaman as a cosmopolitical diplomat, able to see other species as they see themselves. So indigenous peoples also have other methods of learning about medicines and healing. They normally learn from the plants. They normally learn from the animals. As I have heard from Moisés Bianco, he said to me once, I never went to a university to study. I was born inside one. He's an Ashaninka. And there are what they call the master plants, the teacher plants. So biomedical research often erases and reshapes indigenous healing systems and methods, detaching medicines from the knowledge and from the rituals of the peoples who have used them for millennia. And medicinal knowledge is seen as not necessarily located within the beings, such as plants, as in the indigenous context, but rather in the therapeutic transformations that emerge from manipulating such beings. So the plant ceases to be a teacher and becomes a tool. Among the Pano-speaking peoples, indigenous groups living across Brazil, Bolivia, and Peru, which the Yawanao are part of, illness is never seen as purely physical. It is always spiritual. One example is panema, a condition often described as bad luck or as a form of depression. It manifests when a hunter cannot find a prey, struggles in relationships, or feels lethargic. When someone becomes seriously ill, they normally undergo a diet involving sacred roots, such as cassava. And the pajé prays over the plant juice, the juice of cassava for hours before it is then consumed by the person who is sick, allowing the patient to embody the prayer, bringing the spiritual into the physical body. And resins are commonly burned, as well as their smoke is used to cleansing and protection. And you can use it both to heal and to prevent a future illness. And different techniques of blowing are also used with or without plants. So to go back to Troca de Saberes, why is it so important? Studies have shown that around 42% of the world's languages face extinction, 107 of them in Brazil alone. And with them, vital medicinal knowledge risks vanishing. Many of these languages hold unique orally transmitted information about plant and animal-based remedies. With 75% of medicinal plant uses in bioculturally rich areas known in only one language. In the Northwest Amazon, for instance, 91% of such knowledge is tied to a single language. When these languages die, so do placeable understanding of nature and potential cures. So that's why biocultural conservation is so crucial. It's not just about preserving biodiversity, but also the people, the languages, and the cultures that hold deep knowledge. So this becomes even more urgent when we remember that pandemics like COVID-19, which the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, IPCC, predicted for after 2030, struck a decade earlier. Not to talk about the risks of cultural appropriation and the many implications of not properly valuing traditional knowledge. What may lead to different implications, including what I have called bioepistemicide, the erasure, devaluation, or destruction of traditional knowledge and ways of knowing about biological beings. So in terms of moving forward, the meeting finished with a letter that proposed further actions, but it could be summarized on what we are calling the politics of recognition. It is very important that bio and modern medicines open themselves to ancestral knowledge, to the findings of anthropology, to the debates on health and disease in different cultural contexts, so we can better identify transcultural continuities. But this involves cultural humility and questioning how we use our privileged positions as scientists. Education has also a great role to play in this context, in the sense that we need to re-educate ourselves to be really able to change our current practices. The final challenge would thus be to understand the intersections and complementarities between traditional and modern sciences, and how this could be translated into a conception of integrated medicine. Again, plural perspectives are critical here, and I risk saying they are required if we want to survive as a species. Believing that we are safe because we have managed to control COVID-19 is not only misguided, but it is itself a symptom of an underlying crisis. It is then really important to address the roots of colonial engagements with indigenous peoples. This requires a healthy confrontation of cultures that can be actually productive and constructive, as it allows for articulating diverse interests and motivations. So now I'm gonna leave you with the beautiful video that we produced from the gathering. Thank you so much for the opportunity, and I'm happy to be in touch by email. Thank you.
Reunidos no coração da Amazônia, nós, filhos e filhas da terra, carregamos nas veias o conhecimento ancestral. São saberes que não apenas cura, mas conta história de resistência e esperança ligadas à nossa conexão com a floresta.
É sangue, nosso sangue. Qualquer copo grande pode passar logo com o urupu.
Em julho de 2024, no território Apurinã, estado do Amazonas, Brasil, 24 povos indígenas se reuniram para trocar saberes e fortalecer sua medicina. Bem-vindo, parente, bem-vindo. Nas palavras e nos gestos, a união e o respeito por aquilo que nos mantém vivos. Aqui nasce nova aliança, cada planta, cada palavra é um elo de proteção, saberes que vão além da cura do corpo e tocam a alma, trazendo esperança para a doença que ainda não tem cura.
Graças a Deus, tudo bem, achando bom nosso trabalho, vivendo bem tratado.
Nosso conhecimento e medicina tradicional são patrimônio biocultural inestimável.
Esse remédio aqui, ele sara a ferida do câncer. Eu já curei um homem com esse remédio aqui.
Não é um cara que faz lá a faculdade de medicina não sei aonde, mas nós também temos a faculdade aqui da medicina tradicional, que é mais ou menos igual.
A nossa farmácia, ela é a floresta.
E os nossos professores são as curandeiras, pajés, conhecedores de plantas. Em tempo de biopirataria e apropriação, levantamos nossas vozes para defender o que é nosso. Mulheres, parteiras, curandeiras e pajé e todos os conhecedores das medicinas lideram essa jornada, preservando e transmitindo o que a terra nos ensinou.
A ciência indígena é uma ciência sagrada, é uma ciência de cura.
Cada ritual é um encontro com o sagrado e os encantados. Aqui os povos indígenas carregam nas mãos o poder de curar, de conectar, o que a ciência moderna ainda busca. Nosso povo cultiva há séculos. Não estamos sozinhos. Criamos uma rede nacional de compartilhamento de conhecimento para proteger, fortalecer e passar adiante o que herdamos. Conhecimentos que podem oferecer novas respostas para os desafios como o câncer e tantas outras doenças.
Esse daqui, ele é de jararaca. Chama-se cipó um tucano paradá, né? Ele é bem colorido e serve para mandinga de jararaca, né? E qualquer tipo de inseto, né?
Para mim, está sendo um grande aprendizado, né? Eu estar aqui, mas os outros parentes, né? Tendo conhecimento das ervas medicinais, das plantas medicinais. É uma coisa que eu vou levar para o meu povo, o conhecimento que eu estou tendo aqui, né? Eu, como sou jovem, né? Que moro na aldeia, na floresta, e tenho orgulho de ser essa pessoa que eu sou. Por influenciar os jovens, né, a ter conhecimento da floresta, ter a conexão com a natureza, né?
O futuro de nossos filhos depende daquilo que fazemos agora. São as mulheres que guardam essa semente, mantendo vivo os ensinamentos para as gerações futuras. Com respeito, seguimos em frente, reafirmando o compromisso de preservar nossos saberes e garantir que as vozes da terra sejam ouvidas, porque, como filhos e filhas da floresta, é nosso dever zelar pelo que nos foi confiado. A carta do primeiro encontro de troca de saberes ancestrais ecoa como uma declaração de luta e esperança, que ela inspira ações, alianças e transformações. Nós pedimos políticas públicas que reconheçam e protejam nossa tradição, nosso conhecimento. É precioso, não só para o nosso povo, mas para a futura da humanidade.